and then we look at the presentation. Okay, those online, can you guys see us and hear us? This second slide or see first slide is the first slide. Okay.
All right. Are you online? Can you hear us? So that we know that we are connected. All right, good morning, class. So, this software introduction to software engineering, we started it like 4 weeks ago. The first week, we discussed what software engineering is. And we say that it is a process involved in software engineering. That is, in developing software. Software engineering is a process that is a step-by-step action. And each action has rules, each action has principles to follow. That's what the process involves. And we say that when we do those processes, we find that we have developed a software that is scalable, a software that is efficient, a software that is reliable. In the second week, we discussed about software development lifecycle. So my screen is not showing, but is the voice showing? So why? Okay, let me do the presentation again. Share screen. Has it on now? Huh? The slide has not come. Why? You don't want to enter this black place again. So I want to end this and not end it and start it again. I see what to end it, but you know to start it from. So to end it. Yeah. Those are back. Still not there. I should have come with our since Maybe you call him. I'm sure it's not showing. Yeah, no, no, it's not. Let me share my screen again. Then if it don't show, you call. Share screen. So where is it? There it is.
Should I call him?
Let me see. Where is this one not working? Maybe you call him. I closed that one because it's not showing. And I downloaded this one again from WhatsApp.
Okay. This is not.
Yeah. What is this? I think this thing did not download. The
Where's the problem?
PowerPoint. I think the PowerPoint did not because I closed that one that you're using.
to issue, but the issue on ground is the audio. No, so
You can hear it now.
yeah. Those of you that are here can see this, you can see the screen, right? Okay, so I think you can continue like this.
How will I not see from here?
From here now, you do next slide here. Do previous here.
Okay.
Okay. So okay.
Okay.
Look on this guy here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is where we are. And we say that these are the common tasks that a back-end person does. A back-end person, you have to know how to do these things. The one that you can learn anywhere is the CRUD. Once you are doing anything that have to do with software development and you say it's back-end, no matter if you're learning in business center or anywhere or someone is teaching you online, the first thing they will teach you is CRUD, how to save, how to create, how to retrieve, how to update, and how to delete data from database. The one that you need to pay attention to is the authentication, which I have mentioned, and then how to work with APIs. These are the ones that the business center person may not teach you, but you can demand for it because it takes some kind of time, especially the authentication. A lot of API is used in special cases, and the way the world is going itself, the API is now the in thing. So if you're learning how to develop a software, you must include that API in what you're doing, in the content that the person is teaching you. Demand for it because it's important. The role of a backend in full stack development. So there are persons that are full stack. So these people, they do both front end and back end. That means they develop the software for the user, they develop the software for the database. If you are doing that, that is the kind of things you're expected to do. One, user interacts with the front end. You are going to make sure that your code allows for this kind of flow. Where a user interacts with your front end, the front end sends requests to the back end processes the requests, and then is this in blocking your view? Let me see if I can remove it. It's not allowing me to drag it out. And then see. It's still there. It's still there. Well, so the back end processes the request, interacts with the database, and sends a response. Then the front end will display the data that the user requires. So there is a full cycle, starting from the front end, going to the logics, going to database, searching the data, and returning it back to the person that made the request. So this one is talking about the technologies involved. Or let me see if there's a way I can do this for you here. Sorry. What do you ask? This one. This one. Did it remove it? Okay, I think that's good. But now you're not seeing the update. The update has a common back-end technologies. That's what is written there. The technologies that the back-end person will use. We have about 4 technologies. One of them is the programming language. So, like I used to say, a software engineer is like a supervisor. You will interview a developer in a normal setting. Now, what are some of the questions you ask, or some of the things you will check when you want to hire a software developer? One is the programming language that the person is using. Now, we're talking about backend. So, look at these languages, they are for backend: Python, Node.js, Java, Ruby, PHP. These are the languages that you can use for backend. None of these languages are superior to the others. They are all back-end languages, and they can do the work that they are meant for. Just that some languages are special. Like when I say special, there's a particular work they do better. For example, when you're talking about machine learning, AI, you know that it's Python that is more special to that. And when you're talking about writing light applications, you know that JavaScript through Node.js can deliver that more. If you are writing a program for federal government of Nigeria, you are going to use C Sharp. They didn't capture C Sharp. Yeah, C Sharp is one of the languages for programming at the back end. You know, because Nigerian government have relationship with Microsoft and so on. But that does not mean that somebody that is writing Java is inferior to someone that is writing Python or someone that is writing, no. They are all languages. It's you that will decide the language that suits what you're doing. And then you pick the person that is writing that language. Then whereby what you're doing is not, doesn't have language barrier, then what will determine what we choose is the skill set of that person, not necessarily the language the person is using, the skill set of the person. Let's say that it's important to develop a website, for example. As a knowledgeable software engineer who is trying to get a software developer for him, you cannot just say, because this person is using JavaScript, he's the best. That's very myopic. Someone that's using PHP that have more experience and skill sets will do the software, the website the person develops will do better than the one that is a person using JavaScript is doing. Because both of them are technologies. It now depends on how well you know how to use the technology. That's what is important. We are talking about technologies for backend. One of them is language. The other one is database. So what database do you need for the work? Or what database does the person you're interviewing know how to use? Does it suit the one you want to use? Because the person said, I'm using Node.js. That is not the only criteria you will check. You also check the database he knows how to use. And check whether that database can solve what you want. We have 2 classes of databases now. The one we call SQL database and the one we call no SQL database. SQL uses relationship in creating tables. No SQL does not use relationship. It doesn't have structure. That means it is flexible. SQL is rigid. It has structure. It rather goes by relationship. So you consider the software you're developing and choose the one that suits what you want. Someone is asking a question online. Simon Solomon, you say, what about a school site? What program do they use for it? Can it use PHP or C Sharp? It can use any of the languages mentioned. It can use Python. It can use Ruby on Rails. It can use C Sharp. It can use PHP. It is your choice or the description of the owner of the website that will determine. Some organizations will tell you verbatim, we want to use Python. That is during user requirement gathering, they have told you what they want, and you must work with that. Like I said, federal government will tell you, we want to use C#. It is not as if other languages are not good, but that is their preference. So, but if they didn't tell you what they want, your choice will not depend on the skill set of the person you are giving the job. If what I know is C#, and someone called me and said, you want a website that will do ABCD, and I'm the one that is developing it, I don't need to worry myself. I will use the language I know how to do it. If what I use is C#, PHP, and you tell me you want this software, you want that software, and you didn't tell me the technology to use, when I'm giving you the quotation, I will tell you that I will use PHP to do it. So there is no language that is too specific for anything. All these languages we mentioned can do it, and there is no one that is superior to the other. Mr. Hani, I said there is no best one to use. All of them can do it. It's your choice. It's like somebody asking you, I don't even want to use cars because some cars are better than the others. The languages are the same. It's like somebody asking you Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo, which one is the best? Or French, English, and Chinese, which one is the best language? There is no best language. It depends on who you are speaking to, your audience, the person that you want to talk to. You determine the language you will use. Yes, there is no superiority. There is no best. Except the person tell you, use this one for me. There are some persons that can understand Hausa and English. So if you want to interact with them, they can say, "Ba English." Even if they hear English, say, "Ba English." Speak Hausa. You now know that, okay, this person wants me to speak Hausa, so you speak Hausa. If you know how to. So that is how it is. It does not mean that the Hausa you are speaking now is superior to English. It's just a matter of preference. So that's also how it is in programming languages. There's no superiority. Learn the one you can. But more importantly, learn the ones that are in vogue. And these are the ones we have mentioned here. Technologies for backend. One of them is language, the other one is database, the third one is framework. You must learn how to use at least one framework. One thing about framework is that they organize your code, connect to DB faster than you can do manually. You can actually do without the frameworks. If you learn the language, you can write your code with the language without using a framework. But the reason why we say the person must know at least one framework is that frameworks are already made. They already have a way to organize code. They already have a way to connect with database. They will save you a lot of time that you would have used to start writing those codes by yourself. They have written it already. So all you need to just to take advantage of them. If you are using Node.js, you must know how to use Express. If you are using Python, you must know how to use the Django or Flask. If you are using Java, you must learn how to use Spring Boot. And if you are using PHP, you must learn how to use Laravel or CodeIgniter. So for those, someone was asking about PHP online. If what you know is PHP only, improve so that you can be relevant more than you are now by learning Laravel or by learning CodeIgniter. If you write Python, maybe you are in the academia or you are affiliated with the academia where you do more of data science only. Improve yourself to use the Django so that you can do more things like web development and enterprise applications. You can develop them using the Django. So that is the essence of the class. So if I'm employing you, not necessarily employing you, if as a software engineer I'm interviewing you and you tell me you use Python, and I say, which framework do you use? You say, well, I use Anaconda. Anaconda is not the framework that I'm expecting. I want you to use Python. I want you to use the Django so that you can do more than what you are doing with your Anaconda. That is what we are saying. The fourth one in the back-end technologies that I will check. This is a check for you and for the person you're interviewing. Assuming you want to go to back-end development as a software engineer, you want to major in back-end. Check yourself whether you know these four things. And if you are interviewing someone who want to come in as a back-end developer, check that they meet these four requirements, technology-wise. One of them is the language they are using. The second one is the database they know how to use. The third one is the framework that they use. And the fourth one is their knowledge of API. There are two ways to do API. You can use REST. Some persons who are 5 years behind still think that the only API is REST API. No, there is new one, GraphQL. But because it's new, does not mean it's going to replace REST. REST API has been since the world began. You cannot replace it, or if it will take some years ahead. So if the one you know is REST API, you don't have any problem. And if you're interviewing someone and the person tells you that what you know is REST, don't think that the person is out of date, no. But you can encourage the person to upgrade to GraphQL. And of course, they serve different purposes. So it's not necessarily compulsory that I must know how to use GraphQL. But knowing it is an advantage because it's a coming up technology. If you want to build a back-end application, these are the steps you take. Number one, you install the environment you use. The environment is something like VS Code. Some people use VS Code. If you are using Python, I've mentioned Anaconda. They also have the one they call PyCharm for Python. If you are using C#, we have .NET, the .NET environment. If you are using PHP, we have PHP Storm. That may also be another one you can use. If you are using JavaScript, make sure you have Node.js environment. You can also use VS Code. Not a replacement of Node. You must have Node. Then Visual Studio is now where you can just write your code. So when you download the environment, you install the framework. Then you set up the database you are using. So for those using PHP, the moment you install XAMPP or WAMP, you already have the whole server with you. The database is there, the code reader is there. That's the interpreter, or I call it compiler. So when you install the framework, you set up the database, you create the APIs you need, and you start handling requests. So database also have a life cycle, just like software. One thing is that some persons are even majoring as database, what I call them database engineers, or what will I call them? That's where they specialize. They don't want to take up the whole full back end. So while you are writing the logics, writing the server languages with Java, PHP, Node.js, they don't care. Their own is that database. That's where they major. So they do database modeling, they create the schema, they create the relationship, they do backup, they create what we call view, they create triggers. That's where the small area they specialize, and it's a very critical area. So database have this life cycle also. One is requirement analysis. You must check what is required for this database. You have to go to the owner of the software and know the type of information they want to store. Then the type of relationship that exists between the data they want to store. Let's say that this institution wants to develop a software that will manage the trainees for this whole program. So to them, they have told you what to do. But for someone that have the knowledge of database, you have to go back and say, what and what do you want to store Or what type of report do you expect? Because you know that reports come from database. So they can ask, okay, we want to know the number of students, the courses they are doing, the days they attended, and the days they are absent. So with that, you have to go now and design a database that will store such information. One, the database will be able to take the name of students, their identity. Number two, you have another software, another website, sorry, another database or another table that keeps record of the courses. Then you're going to have another table that keeps record of attendance. It is from there you now know who attended and who didn't attend. So you have to go for this requirement analysis. You have to go and fetch the requirements for the software that will help you know how to design your database. After that, you take that requirement, you now go and do your design. And when you are doing the design, you are going to draw some diagrams that is called entity relationship diagram. It is part of the document that you will produce as someone that is doing database. After that, you start your conceptual design. So after you do the conceptual design, you now do the logical design. The logical design now, we map the database, the tables, and their relationships with keys. So we have the foreign key, we have the primary key, we have talked about them the other time. So you use those keys to create relationships between the different tables. After that, you now contact the developer or a programmer and now hand over for them to do the physical design, which is where they will now look at the design that you have created and now begin to put it in the database software. All those other ones, you are drawing them on paper. They are not in any system. They are designed from your creating. So from physical design, they start putting it into the system. And then implementation, you now start writing the database code or creating the tables, putting data in it and testing it. Testing that the design you made is working. Then maintenance can now follow. So these are the processes or the steps that is involved in software, in database development lifecycle. Gather requirements, do the logical designs, then give it, or if you are the back-end person yourself, then you do the physical design and then implement. Entity relationship modeling. So this is part of what you should know when you are modeling a database. You have to draw these diagrams as part of your document that you produce from the database. It is called entity relationship diagram. So how do you draw the diagram? You do the model. The model is the diagram, or rather, you draw the model. What you are drawing is the model. So how do you do the model? There are key things you need to note. One is entity. Remember, this thing is called entity relationship diagram, entity relationship modeling. What is entity then? Entity is the table. Entity is the table. Remember that database is collection of tables. There is nothing called database. You cannot go and say, I'm designing database. What you're actually designing is table. But when you have two or more tables, you cannot call them database. So each table is called entity. And they identify the objects that you are talking about. Like we talked about, maybe this school saying they want a software that will manage this training. And we say, create a table for the students. So student is an entity, is a table. The information will be in one table. Information like name, address, the section you're into, the course you're doing, where you're coming from, phone number, email, gender. Those ones will form this entity, that's the student entity. Then after entity, we now have attributes. So attributes is those columns in a table. I've mentioned them already. Something like name, gender, email address, phone number. All those details that you collect, we call them attributes. Then when you have collected this attribute for students, you've collected this attribute for the classes or the courses, you have collected this attribute for attendance. we now start creating relationship between them. So the relationship here describes how two or more tables associate with one another. We are going to do this in practice so that you see how it is done. Then one thing to note again about database modeling or design is relationships. How does this table relate to the other table? One-to-one means one table relates to one table. One-to-many means many tables are connected to one. And many-to-many means that many tables connect to many tables. Then in the notation, when you are drawing this diagram, there are some notations here mean symbols. There are some symbols that you use to represent what you're drawing. Entity is presented with a rectangle. That's the table is presented with a rectangle. The attributes are presented with ovals. Ovals look like circles. Then the relationship is represented with a diamond, something that like kites. Then in the cardinality, one-to-many relationship is a straight line. One-to-many, anywhere there is many, you see this crow foot. You see a diagram of a crow foot. It is what we use to show many, while straight line shows one. This is what is called crow foot. Anywhere you see this crow foot, it's talking about many. Like if you see one-to-many, you can see it here. This one is many-to-many. You'll also see it here. So anywhere many appears, you see this leg there. You can see a typical example. A company is giving cars to their employees. One employee, one car. One employee, one car. So this is a one-to-one relationship. And you can see how they draw it. The car is a rectangle because it's an entity. The kite here shows the relationship that the car is related to an employee and is one-on-one. Now look at the implementation, the modeling. This one is the entity diagram, but this is the modeling here. In the model, we have car ID as an attribute, license number of the car, model year of the car, the make of the car, and the model of the car. So these are attributes of the car, or the column heads, the columns that we generate in the table. Then look at the employee. These are the information for the employee. The employee have the employee name, or first name, the last name, the full name, the address, city. Now, car ID represents this car, the car that was given to him, the car ID. So that's where the relationship is created. This car ID represents the primary key. You can also see a sign of key here. We have said that a primary key is a unique identifier on a table, while the foreign key is that same primary key on another table. So here is car ID. Here is car ID. This link shows their relationship and is a straight line. Look at one-to-many. Someone can own more than one car. So since car is the one that is many, it has this crow foot sign on it. So this is the diagram, but this is the model. Now in the model, we see car owner having these details. We see car having this detail. And each car has one engine. So this line is just one-to-one. One car, one engine. One owner, many cars. Shows that this man have more than one car. Maybe you have 2 cars, 3 cars. And this crow foot sign here shows where the many is. So this is one-to-many. Then let's look at this. You see this many sign here. You see this many sign here. That means this is many-to-many relationship. You also see many here and see straight line here. That means many here, single here. What it means is that in this category, one category can have more than one product, and one product can be ordered many times. And there are many orders coming for many products. For example, if the category is electronics, in the electronics category, you can have phone, call it, what other thing can we have in electronics? Systems, television, radio. So you see that one category is having many products. If we have food category, in this place we can have something like rice, indomie. That's your best, right? Okay. So that is how it is. So from looking at this, you can see that one category has many products. So these products now can be ordered many times. That's what this many and the many is representing. So this is many to many relationship. These two, not this. These two. And that's why you're seeing this growth rate here. So whether it is you that is drawing or you are reading someone else's work, where you see this sign, know that it's talking about many. So we are looking at this example. I wanted us to demonstrate it, but there's a course in front that I want us to check before we do that. Normalization. How does look at this normalization? Just normalization is a principle on its own. It uses the dry principle that you don't repeat anything in a table. Instead of you to repeat it, you use primary key to link it, so that you make sure that you don't have redundancy. What we call redundancy in database is a value that repeated in the column. We don't want anything to repeat. We just want something that appear only once without repetition. That's what data normalization is about. We say that normalization is the process of organizing a database into tables to minimize redundancy and dependency. The main goal is to ensure that the data is logically stored, with each fact being stored in only one place. Only one place. You don't want it to repeat here and repeat here and repeat here. Only one place. This process involves breaking down larger tables into smaller, more manageable ones, ensuring that each table represents a single concept. So in the levels of normalization, we have first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, voice code normal form. So if you have time, you can read up the theory behind the normalization. But what they are talking about is that you don't repeat the term. The benefit is that it reduces redundancy, so you don't store data in many places. It improves data integrity. Normalized tables are easier to maintain and ensure consistent data. So it prevents anomalies where the data is here and the other data is that place. Updates are made to only one place, reducing the risk of inconsistency. I think that's the major advantage. Because if you have values in different tables, you need to update them in those tables anytime you are making updates. Otherwise, you are creating inconsistency, because people reading table 1 will see a different value from people reading table 2, which is not supposed to be. It simplifies data management, because you are now doing all the corrections in one table, so it makes it easier for you than having multiple tables to make amendments, because it's bringing all the information to one place. So let's look at keys and constraints in database design. We have already talked about primary key as a unique identifier. No two rows can have the same primary key. So the primary key is unique to each person. Primary key is something like matric number for students, NIN for federal government, BVN for banks, phone number for communication, email for, and so on. So no two persons can have any of these. So they can be used as primary key. Then foreign key is that same primary key when it appears in another table for relationship. We have composite keys, keys that are composed of, okay, let me talk about candidate keys. So in candidate keys now, we have many keys that can be used as primary key. but we decide to choose only one and leave the rest. All those other ones are candidate keys. That means that we can use any of them. For example, if you are keeping student record, you have matric number, which is unique. You can use it as primary key. We have phone number. Phone number is also unique. No two students can have the same phone number. So phone number can be used as primary key. So it's a candidate key. Email address. No two persons can have same email address. So it's a candidate key. So in a situation where you have these three, all of them are candidate keys for that student. But you can just choose only one because you can't use two. Then what we call alternate keys are those candidate keys that is not chosen. So we have three. We have phone number, email, and matric number. You choose matric number and leave phone number and email. That phone number and email that you didn't choose are alternate keys. Why the matric number you chose is the primary number, primary key. Now let's look at database constraints. So in the constraints, we have not null. Not null means that this field cannot be empty. It is not null that makes it that when you are filling a form and you omit a value, when you want to submit, it will take you back and mark it red and tell you that you have to fill this form. Have you experienced that before? That is a not null. Another one is unique. Unique means this value should not repeat. So, and this is responsible for calling you back when you have registered and you want to register again. And the system saying, no, you have registered before. Log in instead. Have you also experienced that? So what is doing that is unique. Check also tries to confirm that a particular value, the requirement for that value is met. Otherwise, you can't submit. For example, if it is important that a particular information is given and being supplied, for example, let's say quantity, you are buying a product, quantity cannot be empty or cannot be zero. That means if you are buying anything, you're either buying one or two or more. You cannot just say, how many are you buying? You say zero. On, off, or you change position because we are many. Do you understand? Because we are many, we need air condition. But because you are sitting directly on it, it's affecting you. So you can just change position. See where he's standing, you can just stay there. So that it will not be affecting you directly. So we have default. Default is a value that is provided automatically if the user omits it. If you omit it, that's what will be there for you. We call it default. Yes. Not null and check.
Yeah, not null and check.
They are related because they are checking something. Like null is checking that this place cannot be empty. Check is not necessarily checking if it is not empty, but it is checking that it meets a particular criteria. For example, if you put 0, 0 is not empty. In data science, in computer, 0 is not useless. 0 has a meaning. But if you say that check, okay, let's assume that in this school, there was a time they made new policy, federal government, but I heard that they have reversed it. Where they say if you're not up to 18, you can't enter university. Did you hear that policy? Yeah. If you are writing a code for them, maybe you are doing a registration for entrance into the university, your check will be age must be greater than 18. If somebody puts 17, it will not go. But 17 is not nothing. You understand? It is different from not null. Not null means make sure it is not nothing. So if you use not null, if somebody puts 10, it will go. Because it's not null. If somebody puts 5, it will go. But check, there is a criteria that it is checking. Yes, it's a conditional statement. Yes. Is it clear? They no, the policy, they reversed it. I heard that they reversed it. They reversed it, right? Because some kids are faster and you can't delay them. You can't delay them. So that's it. Now let's do a practical on this. I wish I can create. Did you come late? Okay, you said I was defining something before you came.
You were defining the check that you're not doing it.
Really? What is missing? No, these are examples now. I wanted us to do it practical. But let's still look at it. Now, in a table for storing orders, you know what is order? You order for goods, you order for the order of something now. Now, the primary key is order ID. The foreign key is customer ID, which links the customer that is buying to the order that he's making. The not null constraint ensures that order date cannot be null. Because if you are ordering something, you state the date that you're buying it. That if the person did not state the date, you cannot store this order, you cannot store this thing that he's buying. Then check ensures that quantity is greater than 0. So what you put in check is 0, greater than 0, so that it doesn't take less than that. So this is just an example of these statements. You can use as many, in fact, you want to do example. Each record should have a constraint, although it's not compulsory, but it is advised, yes. Wherever it is needed, you have to. I don't know if people online are seeing this my new screen. Is anybody online here? Check if you are seeing this new screen. No, you're still seeing the old one. You're still seeing the old one. You know, there's a magic diagram and did here. I don't know how to create new column here. I don't know where we got this one. I don't know. That's what we did earlier, and the people online were not seeing it. That was why he now pushed it into this place by force. Let me see if this slide is editable. I can edit it. Let me see. Edit layout. Is it add item? It's not allowing me. Let me see that. Let me try and see that if I stop sharing. Share slide. I want to see if I can share slide. Are you online? Huh? Yes, I know they won't hear because I've switched over to this. But are you seeing this screen? Still seeing the old one? I don't know how we do this one. It's really a very big challenge because I want us to do kind of practical. I don't know how we do this now. I wanted us to do some kind of practicals, but I don't know. Okay, maybe I'll be dictating the practical now. You'll be writing it on your paper. Then we'll come and see it. Yeah, because um, the people online will not be seeing us if I'm using this. You guys online are not seeing this new screen. You're seeing the old one. Let me check now. Where do you see extra camera? Here. Let me see. Upgrade for an extra camera. No, it's not even sharing anything. It's not sharing. No, they are seeing it. Okay. Yes, I'm sharing the entire screen, but look at what it says here. Audio will not share. If I share the entire screen now, they will stop hearing me. But let me see if you can see me first, whether they are hearing or not. And those online, are you seeing this new screen or are you seeing the old one? Because I seeing this one. Okay, so let me write what is here, what I want to write. Then I will now go and talk to them. So which one are you not seeing? No, I know you are seeing the slide. It is now.
So I think you talk to them first. You not move to the other side.
Okay, you guys can have that as an advantage of being present. But still do what they are doing. I will now show it. So guys online can hear me now and they can also see our old screen. So create a table on your book. On your book, you draw a table, give space. The column of the table will be, the first one will be field name, or it's better if you write these columns before you draw the table line so that you can accommodate the sizes. So the first one is field name. The second one is data type. You'll be writing it in horizontal. So the first thing you will write on your paper is column name or field name. The second one is data type. The third one is width, width. The next one is constraint. Then the last one is description. People online, let me know if you have gotten what I asked you to write. Umar Mohammed, Mahmoud Magaji, Richard Augustus, are you guys hearing me? Are you doing what you're asked to do? On your book, or if you have a laptop, create a table. In that table, the first column name is field name. The second one is data type. The third one is width, width. The fourth one is constraint. And the last one is description. Now, that is the heading you will use anytime you want to design a table or anytime you want to design a database. I've already told us that there's nothing called database. Database is just a collection of tables. So if you say you are designing database, what you are actually designing is table. So that database now is the umbrella name that cover all your tables. Anytime somebody wants to access those tables, they will not call the table name. Sorry, they call the database name. For instance, this building is made up of rooms. That's how database is made up of tables. So what we actually design is table, not database. You don't design a database, you design table. Those tables is what make up the database. And what we are doing now is how to model or how to design the table. As a software engineer, you design the table. You now give it to a programmer or a developer to develop. Or if you are a developer yourself, you must make this design before you start coding on your keyboard what you want. So this header is general. No matter the table you want to design, you use it. But let's now call up, for example, you want to design a software for students management in this institution. Or like we have said, to manage students in this program. So you want to have a database of students because we want to know those that have been coming and those that have not been coming, those that come often and those that are not coming often. So we are looking at three entities here. Entity one is the students. So we are going to have student table, and we are going to have courses, and we are going to have attendance table. This will make up the student database. So the first of all, let's treat students. So this table is for students. The first field in designing table for student is student name. So you cannot draw the table lines. You can draw the vertical lines. If you are using book and pen, draw the vertical lines for the columns that you have made. If you are using laptop or desktop, fine. You don't need to. The table lines are already drawn. So under student name, under field names, put student name. What other information should we collect? Gender, matric number, department, date of birth, correct. Age. So let's take all these ones. Student name, department, date of birth, age, phone number, email address, matric number. I think it's about 7. Put gender, if you like. Then data type, we have discussed data type, but not in details. Every data you are bringing to database must have a particular type. Data types are very important in 2 ways. One, they determine the kind of operations you can take on that data. For example, data types rather that is not numeric, you cannot use them for calculation. You can only use data that is numeric to perform calculation. So if you are saving values in your table, and you say that they are not numbers, you cannot use them for calculation. So that is one role of a data type. It determines the operation you can perform on the data. Another importance of data type is storage space. The size that is allocated to number is not the same as the size that is allocated to strings or alphabets. So there are more and more and more reasons why you should decide the type of data that you are storing. So looking at these values now, student name is string, it's not numeric. I hope you know. String is alphabet. But in database language, we call them variable characters, or what we call varchar. So what we put under that student name, under the type is varchar, V-A-R-C-H-A-R. V-A-R-C-H-A-R, varchar. Varchar. So that is student name is varchar. Varchar is string. Varchar means string or alphabet in English, but in database language, we call it varchar, variable character. After student name, what else do you have? What? So date of birth is date. The data type is date. D-A-T-E, date. Which other one? Matric number is primary key. Sorry, matric number is a string, is varchar also, because you don't use it for calculation. It's varchar. Then which other one? Phone number, varchar. You may think that phone number should be numeric, right? But we don't use it to do calculation. So you store it as varchar. Another reason why we store it as varchar is that someone may start his phone number with +234. So if you put it as number, plus is not a number. And whatever you design is the way it will be. If you say that this thing is numeric, it cannot ever accept anything that is not numeric. So that number that is coming as plus will generate error. It will not allow it to stop. So that's why we safely say that phone numbers are varchar. We store them as varchar. And we are safe because we are not doing calculation with phone number. So it's varchar. What next? Gender. We want to use M for male and F for female. So we say it is char, C-H-A-R, character. So all the values that are single in nature is char. Call them char. If you're using 1, 0 to represent values, you store them as char also. Yes, whether it's numeric or not, except you want to use them for calculation. If they are numeric and you're using them for calculation, for example, something like age, somebody can be 1 year old. But if you want to do calculation with the age of the person, you don't store it as char, even though it's singular. You store it as numeric. What other one do we have? Department is varchar. Which other one? Age is numeric now, so you call it int, int. So int means integer. Integer. Integer is a number, a whole number. Integer represents. We have many numerics. We have int for integer. We have double. Double is those numbers that have like currency. Currency is double because they have dot, 0, 0. Then we also have the one we call forgetting that one, but it's part of numbers. But now we're using int because it's whole number. Float, the one I'm taking the name is float. Float is also decimal in nature.
You can use float for currency.
Yes, you can use float for currency and use double for currency. Mm. No. You can't write num. There's nothing like num in database language. It is either int, double, or float. Int is whole number. Float and double is decimal. Yes. between float and double. Float is within 7 digits, like 7 decimal places maximum. Double is unlimited. In mathematics, there's something they call recurrent, like when you do, is it 3/2 or 2/3? 10/3. Yeah, you have something dot, and that thing continue without ending. Those ones you use double to capture them. But if it's something you already know, like currency you mentioned, you know that it's only 2 digits, you can use float. But you can also use double, because double is decimal. The difference is that double can contain more than float. Mm-hmm.
20.5.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one is just X. So how do
you use float, because you cannot come if you use int and eventually someone now bought something that have .50, you cannot come back and redesign the system. So you have to use float, because float allows normal. In fact, it won't allow it, it will add it for you. If you put 50, it will add .00. That's the way it does. If it's 90, it will add .00. All right, what's the next value there in the fields? Email is VACA. What else? Check your own. What has not been captured in your own? Is that all? So all the field names, price. You are not doing price in students now. What is currency in students? You are not doing currency in students. All right, so we are done collecting the student data. Another thing you can do in student is maybe address, parents, next of kin. Those are the kind of information you get, but we don't want to go too far from it. So we have seen the field name, and we have seen the data types. The next one is width. Okay, your own is constraint before width. It's width before constraint. But there's no law about how you arrange it. It can be arranged. That's why I'm asking you to know how you arrange your own. What is important that they have to be there, but how you arrange it doesn't matter. Now, width is the number of characters that make up that field. They have experimented with names and see that nobody's name is more than 60 characters. Yes. So under name, you can put 60 and it's safe. Yes. Gender, because we are using car, the width is 1. Because we are saying only F or only M. In gender, yes. What is the next? So what number should we put there? 10? Some are up to 10. Some are up to 12 self. Have you seen 13? Let's use 12. It's safer. Because if you say 10, anybody that is on is more than 10, the system will cut it off. It won't take it. But if you say 12, it can accommodate even 1, 2 until that 12. Are you checking your own matric number? I'll check now. It shouldn't be more than 12, is it? 11. Top. Some people's own are 10, yes? Mm-hmm. Is it a polytechnic? Okay. It's up to 16. So this is where user requirement analysis now comes in. You will have to ask that, what is your matric number like? Like in polytechnics, that's why I asked you whether it's polytechnic. They used to use slash. You will see something like, assuming you are studying NCE. Good. Now, if you are doing NCE, now you will not see NCE/2009/ your department. Let's say you are studying something like computer science. You will not see CS/ they now put your number. So by the time you count this, you see that the reg number or the matric number is now up to 20 or 16, like you said. So you have to verify that.
So for this very
Course we are doing.
it's 29.
Do you see that? So, and because we are designing this software we want to design now for this school, for this program, that means the matric number have to be what? 29. You see it? Because if you attempt to do only 12, then they can't find it, they won't use the data again. And we are planning to use this matric number now as primary key. That means the whole database cannot work. Okay, so put matric number as 29. Because we are doing it for this program. If you are doing it for an institution like university that use matric number, you can use like 12 or 10 or 13. If you are doing for polytechnic, maybe 16. NCE, maybe 16. So you have to find out. What's the next? Date of birth. Date of birth and integer and numbers, you don't give value to their width. The system already know what it is. For example, now, if you are talking about dates and you are using 01 slash, what is today's date? 7. 07 slash 12 slash 2024. System will know it because it knows about numbers. So anything numeric, both double, float, integer, date, you don't give width, system knows it already. What next? We have captured gender as 1 because we are using car. Once you see car, automatically is 1. What next?
Phone number.
Phone number, what should we use? 40 because of the plus. Is that generally agreed?
Yes, but for some there's this site I saw. It's instead of the plus, it must have the
Country code, which is 234.
0009. 009.
Really?
Yes, the plus is 009. Then you put 234.
I like this discussion. So this is where that column we call description comes in. Description is where you describe what is not commonly known. For example, now, maybe like what I have in mind when I was talking about phone number is 0806, which is 11. I was expecting a chorus of 11 from everybody. But look at diverging ideas now. So if you are designing, you go to description and describe what can cause this misunderstanding. If you are to take plus 234, you go to description and say plus 234. Then you now count it in and know that the number will now be 14. If you are using only 080, you go to that description and say 080 and then put 11. If you are putting the country code you mentioned now, like 009 or 00, you go to description and state it and now give the number. Because if you don't, people can mistakenly type in anything and the data will not be visible. And remember, you are not going to do this thing by yourself. You will ask, that's why user requirement gathering is important. You have to go to the owner and say, what type of phone number do you want to take? Because for instance, if you want to send SMS, 080 doesn't send SMS with app. It's supposed to be 234. That is if the SMS is automated, like you fill a form and you receive OTP on your phone or you receive acknowledgement on your phone. Those automatic SMS, they use 234, they use country code. If you type 080, the message is won't go. So if the owner of the software wants to be sending automated messages, automatically what you need is 234-806 blah 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 phone number, which is 13 or 14. And you must state it and then enforce it with the number that you put. Is it clear? So what did we decide on the phone number? 14. That means in the description you put 234 there. Good. Right away now, so that you won't forget it. Or you can also do it when we get there. Since you have the requirements analysis, the requirement report is with you. This one we are doing now is the design from the requirement. After the phone number, what next? Department. So department can be 40. There's no department name that is longer than 40. One of the longest is electrical engineering, and it's not even up to 40. So think of another one and count. So you see. Psychiatric, neuropsychiatric. It's not up to 40 now. Neuro is around 7. Psychiatric is around 20. That's 27. So none can be more than 40. So it's safe to stay at 40. Then age is integer. What should we write there as the width? I'm asking the class. Age is integer. What should we write as the width? We are not supposed to write anything. I just want to test it. What next? Email. Email is 60, just like name. It cannot be more than 60. Have we captured all? Then we now move to constraint. The first constraint is name. So we don't want the student's name to be empty. We want every student to submit their name while they are filling the form. So it's going to be not null. That's the first constraint, not null. Currency. No, don't specify the. So long as it's numeric, you don't specify it. After student name, what next do we have? Matric number. So that's primary key. Primary key in under constraint for matric number is primary key. What next? Date of birth. Well, date of birth is not important to this program because we are taking all ages. So you can put it null. That means if a student refuses to give us when they are born, no problem. Phone number, unique. So why do we make phone number unique? That is the reason. The reason is so that you can register twice. In as much as but why we are using it is because no two persons can have one phone number. So once you register, it is you. If you want to register again, system will say no. But we don't tell users this because if they want to bypass the system, they will go and register another SIM. You know, Niger guys now. If I know that if I use my phone number to register again, you will not allow me. I will go and create another SIM card. I use it to log in. Okay. So what was the next? Gender can be null because it's not important here. We are taking both male and female. What's the next? But we have captured matric number as primary key. Age, we don't want to take on the age. So we want it to be 18 and above. So check. So we want to place that constraint there. Department cannot not null because we want to know the course you are studying here. Are you doing software engineering or are you doing what name? What name? Okay, email is also unique. Is that the last one? Okay. So the next column is description. So description, like we stated earlier, is where you describe anything that is not clear. So maybe at that age, you can go there and say, following federal government guideline. Because you are saying you don't want to take less than 18. The person may be, why? After all, I registered for the program. Or after all, I'm interested in the program. And you say all that are interested should apply. But now we are not taking people that are less than 18. It is not by our own making. It's the federal government law. So you state it there as a reason. So that if the policy has been changed, as we believe it has been changed now, someone that is updating the system, remember that the purpose of documentation is for future use. When you want to update or maintain the system, you read the document so that you know what has been done or what was done. So the person that will update the system later, seeing that the reason for this 18 is just government policy, And now government have reversed the policy. So he can remove that option, is it not? He can remove it and the system is safe to work. So people that are below 18 can now register. And if somebody query him, he will say, this is placed because of government policy and the policy has been reversed. So that's the essence of that description, where you state what you have done at that level. Is that okay? So that is the table 1, which is students. Now let's go to attendance as a table. What and what do you think we should capture in attendance? Create another table. Email is unique. And it's not compulsory. Since we have captured one unique, which is phone number, you can decide to say email is null or not null. Those was not your decision. Yes. After all, there are some programs we do. We make email not null. We make email null because it's not everybody that has email. Imagine if you are doing software for farmers. It's not all of them that have email, especially people in the village. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. If you make email not null, that means you don't want anybody to register for that program. Because they don't have, what are they doing with email? So what you need to do is to use a phone number as unique. So study what we have done now and then do one. The one you're doing now is the attendance table, design attendance table. In the attendance table, we are going, what are we going to have as the column name? You can't repeat. Say that's where the normalization we learn come about. Because we have captured student's name in the student table, you will capture it again. It's a dry technique. You don't repeat. You can't repeat phone number. It is the other one. You can't. Yes, matric number. Because it's the primary key. That's the only thing that can repeat. And in this table, what do we call it? This attendance list now. What constraint will this matric number answer? Okay, don't worry. When we get there, we'll answer it. We have identified matric number. What else? You have answered it now. Huh? That one should be in the student's table. You can't repeat fragments. Dates. Dates that the attendance is being calculated. Date, time of arrival, time of departure. Are we there? In the attendance table, we have date, arrival time, departure time. David, what's the time? 1:23. Are we there? Matric number, but you can also call it student ID. There's no need calling it matric number again. Because if you say matric number, fine, this one. Yes. Yeah, this is the last one. You don't call matric number to attendance, but nobody tells you the name to call anyway. But the best thing to call is student ID, so that you know you're talking about students. So we have date, arrival time, student ID, departure time. So let's use only these 4. In that case, if you want to now add more, you can say incident, like what happened that day, lecturer name, who teach the course, the course code that was taught that day. So those things are now the things you can add if you want to. There are a lot of things you can add depending on what they need. So looking at those basics now, in the data type, what is the data type for the date? We are talking about attendance. Date of that attendance, what is the data type? Date, correct. It's date. Then time. Time. Because we have time also as a data type. So time is time, date is date. Student ID, VACA. Which one again is there? Course code is VACA, so we stop at that. We are not the ones adding those ones. They are also acceptable. Now we move to constraint. Date is what? What we put as date? Not null, because you must tell us the date you claim to attend. Any date have to be not null. You must provide the date. Then time, not null, because you must also tell us the time. The lecturer can be null. The course code, not null. You must know the course that you come to do. The student ID is what? Student ID is what? Student ID is foreign key. She have answered it before. It's foreign key because it's that key that relates to the student that we are talking about. So you now see why you don't have to repeat student name, phone number, this and that. It have already existed in the other table. So once we see the student matric number, we now know who the student is by using it to trace, assuming the matric number is 224. If we see 224 in attendance, you know that, okay, this 224 is talking about this student. The name of the student, his phone number, all his details are already in the student table. That matric number is what we now use to trace him the other side. So if you want to draw this table in the entity diagram, so what you do is to draw a rectangle. This is also a class will continue. Draw a rectangle, draw a line, draw a kite or a diamond, and then draw another kite. And you now say students attends, or how do you put it? Attendance attended by students. This is it here. Attendance. So your table will be like this. The first table, the second table, you put all their IDs, you put all the columns. Then at the entity diagram, you now write students or attendance for students. How will you put it? You must write something in the relationship. What is the relationship between student table and attendance table? What will you write here? What will you write at the diamond? This is attendance table. This is student. What is it? No.
Class.
Attendance.
Look at the diagram. Look at what this diagram is saying. You have to make a statement. Student, yes, student present in attendance.
Okay, for the kites.
Yes, what will be in the kite? So you have to draw a box representing students, student table, draw a kite, and then draw another box representing the attendance table. You now put a statement here that link two of them, not the primary key. It's a statement that someone can like car given to employee.
So the other one is
Students
the last one.
present in attendance.
This other is that
Attendance table, yes. And you now draw something like this again. Up is the name of the table, all the columns in that table here. Up is the name of the table, all the columns here. Then you draw a line from the primary key down to the foreign key. That is how to do database modeling. So this is just one-to-one relationship. So that is database modeling, and that's what we do. There is one more theory that we wanted to cover, that is algorithms. algorithms, but I would like you to read that one at home. I'm going to give you assignment on that to make sure you read it. So read about flowchart, read about algorithms. Flowchart is actually part of algorithm. Read about algorithm. Read about flowchart. Yes, and flow charting. Flow charting is the practice, just like what you did here. Learn how to draw a flow chart. I'll give you assignment on what to draw. For me, it's also a drawing. So these are the things that will be in the document, in the software documents that you are preparing as a software engineer. And that's what differentiates you from ordinary programmer who may not create these documents. And this is the end of the class today. Except you have question. Somebody said, what is the constraint for age? So at Dediran, age is not null if you must get the person's age, or null if the age is not necessary to you. Any other question? Or
So description.
yeah, decide how to describe it. If there's anything that calls for description, you describe it that place.
Like the phone number.
No, yeah, it's talking about the attendance step.
No,
I don't understand.
for
The student table.
Yes.
Again, now under description, now we have already seen the phone number to be 2 plus 2, 3, 4. Then there's another description we made there. Car. That place we say that male and female. Yeah, the gender is only F and only M. You also state it there. You also define it there. So that somebody will not go and be typing F, E, M, A, L, E when what you want is only F or M. So you describe it there. That description is where you put what is not normal, as in anything that you did that can be controversial. You describe it there. That's what description is. Any more? On which one? Students present in attendance. This last box now is the table. Yeah, this is attendance. Employee is attendance. The students. Then the box here is the relationship they have. Then you're also going to draw this type. Where you have students, you put all the columns and put a key sign on matric number. You now have attendance, you put all the columns. Under here, you put student ID. And now connect this line to this line. So that is that, except you still have more questions or observations or comments. Yes, now it's on Google. Yes, negative integer. You can say it in the description, but you're asking about the data type. There is signed integer and unsigned integer. Yes, so that's where it is. That's the end of the class, but you can ask questions or make comments. In the absence of any, that is the class. And if you are able to read the algorithms I asked you to read, that means you are done with software. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. We learned that many of you are not able to complete your assignments on the platform. We are aware of the situation. We are working on it. Now, one of the things that I was informed was that the trainees, the classroom was full. And from my discussion with the engineer here, he said that one he's using, we're allowing to allow the current students
250. The one we are using already is 250.
The one we already is
But the one we created is
okay. We're working on providing a platform where all of the materials will be uploaded in one single stream. Okay? So bear with us. We will try our best to get the best services we can offer. That is one. Two, I discussed with the sponsors of this project in regards to holidays. Because in fact, other consultants were not asking, I asked this question that what will happen to our trainees during the holidays? Because no one is talking about we give holiday and then say, who asked you to do it? So what they told us was that we cannot stop the training. So what we will do most likely is people, I told them, okay, if you can't stop the training, then how do you expect people to come because they are traveling to their respective villages and you gather from January to December, you don't go and spend December in the village and children pepper. I feel so. Show them the progress within the year. Show them pepper. And then one process will tell you not to do. It don't make sense. You say, if you keep your training, I will put my girl to the pepper. I just pray if children they don't follow you from your village. Okay. So now what we are planning on doing is we will make arrangement for an online session. Instead of physical, for those that are still in Abuja that want to come physical, feel free to come. For those of you that want to go and feel the pepper there, please show them the responsible so that they don't follow you. You know, the best way for this only people bar. So be humble, go there, meet people, people that's why you're so bitter. You never can tell who will allow later. Okay? All right. Let me digress much. So those of you that can come, please feel free to come. Those of you that will not be able to do it, please join us online. We'll try our possible best so that we don't have the problems. It's something unforeseen, and now we've found a person solution to the problem. So moving forward, we'll not have this type of problem again. Okay? That is why I simply address your class. I think the only class I've addressed. Yeah. The rest, I think I'm going to create a meeting of everybody, okay, where we will tell you things that are in relation to this particular project. What does it mean for you, apart from this particular training? What do you
What is the need for them?
I mean, if somebody says you should take. So please, when I come for the meeting, I will post maybe 2 days to the dates of our meeting, and then we'll send you guys regular reminders. So please join so that you can be able to hear things that are in relation to this program. And if you have questions, you can always ask, and we'll provide you with answers. Okay? All right. Now, the last before I leave, people don't behave like a Nigerian. Okay? A Nigerian is do something for him for 9 o'clock and then 4, 10, and then okay.
By 12, it's still at home.
No, not no, I'm talking about online meeting.
Okay.
Because I know on social media you come and then you click on the link and then it has been over for the past 3 hours. And then you say, I have 20 questions I need to ask you. Yes, see me maybe 50 cents. I have 19 questions. That's the name of some 50 cents, 19 questions I did. I mean, that's the name of some. I mean, if I know this thing, I mean, you're not from my generation. No, it's 21 questions. It's 21 questions. So don't be like 50 cents and have 21 questions and then you don't get to the platform to ask those questions. Okay? Now, lastly, we will be asking you to upload your information. Precisely the pictures I need. People are sponsoring this project thinks we are training aliens. They want to be sure these aliens are they from Kiniko or from Kiniko, and then they want to confirm that the people are training they are actually Nigerians. How do you verify the person is Nigerian? Name. Are we together? Yes. So you might be requiring to update your name. And the last one that you need to update might be your photograph. Now, Now, during your registration period process, we've shown you the type of photo we want, have you? Because that's the outside use. Some of them were in restaurants with the chef cooking, turning rice, all inside passports. And then some of them were doing like this. Some of them were doing, how did that is sign? Some were doing it like this. Inside passports. Some, that was the funny one. Some they did screen that was their what do you call it? Their phones, this thing, screensaver. It's their picture that they make up and they are making fly. The day and everything, and they uploaded it to me. Now, the sponsors of the project says they don't want that type of picture. The worst case scenario I've seen is somebody that dropped, he took his passports, passport photograph that they snapped, physical one, rubbing on top bed, carrying his smartphone, with a better camera, come start off from up with the bed. Are we together? Are we together? And then you upload that picture with the bed. See what? Why not just tell somebody, please snap the picture, see this sample wall here, snap the picture, and then you're good to go again? Why would you suffer ourselves with something that is insignificant, something that is very, very significant? So please, the engineer is a software engineer, and first thing he will tell you is software engineer is all about solving what? Problems. So if you are getting problems, then you're heading towards out of software engineering. Bam. Well done, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
That's okay. For what you did.
That's nice. That's exactly what it's a file.
Okay, so.
That's exactly what it is.
I was not able to have done the first assignment, second assignment, and the third one because I don't know the.
You've not done it, or you've done it.
I've not done it.
This your boy?
You're not joining class.
Okay,
Class.
okay, what's your name?
I've not opened the page, but they showed me how they doing it.
So it's here now. Go to Google Classroom. But Mr. Hayat is saying that they will create another platform. When you are not able to access the Google platform. So when they create it, they will add it. Then I will upload all of them back.
Thank you, sir.
What's
Thank
up
you.
now? How's the work going?
Keep strong. You guys also are. Why not have the family? I'm thinking you are quite busy. I wanted to push you some of those things I have.
Okay.
Yeah, so that maybe.
What technology are you using to do that?
Okay, it's, I'm doing Node.js.
Okay,
No, Nest.js.
I don't use it though.
I don't use Nest.js.
Yeah, I don't know how to use it. What is it for basically?
Okay, it's ecom.
I know you're doing e-commerce. I mean the Node.js.
The Node.js is another.
I know Node.js. I mean Nest.js. You said
Nest.js. It's just another offshoot of React. Yes, another frame. Yeah.
What is this specifically?
What it does server side and client side rendering. So
Okay, rendering.
yes, so it helps you when you want, unlike React that just does front end, But this one it does from the server side, so it helps you load faster. It helps you with SEOs and stuff. Yeah.
What is the difference between that one and Express?
No, Express is more like a database backend. Yes, but this one, what it does, it integrates like React and the Express and makes it load both at the back end and so it does the static page loading, make it fast than the
like single page
yes
application.
than the React. And
You use it with React or use it alone?
no, you don't really separate it from React that much because it's more like an offshoot, a framework from React. The only thing is that with React now you'll be using routers,
Yes.
routers. But with Next.js, no router. Your API is just straight.
Okay.
Yeah, so it gives you that convenience and that flexibility. But with React, you will need to do router, you need to do this, do that.
But you use React?
I use React.
Very well or small?
Well, until job comes, but I I like Next.js because of that flexibility it gives you, because of the server side.
Yes. But can you use it without React?
Yes.
Sorry, come.
Sir?
What do you want to show me?
No, I've seen it. I wanted to ask you. I did the first one,
Yes.
the
The
objective,
first assignment.
the first one. So no, it's still on this. It was 2 assignments now.
Yes.
So I did the first one, which was ODD. So now remaining the
Theory.
theory.
Yes.
Yeah, go and do that.
Okay, done. I thought you wanted to ask me.
No, I wanted to ask you because it was not doing.
Okay, but now you do.
Yes, sir.
You
Thank
can
you,
use
sir.
it with that React.
Yes.
Yes.
Directly with Express.
Yes. So maybe I'll just I would assemble the brief and the plans and just push it to you. Let's just be interacting on it. Yes. Basically, just like I told you, I gave you a little brief about it.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I will send it to you on WhatsApp.
Okay.
That's fine, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on, sir.
All right. Then you done.
Sir, sorry. Me, I'm trying to comprehend it much more. Because me, I don't have any knowledge about it.
And you didn't start on time. I'm just seeing you in our class today.
Sammy, I used to come.
Okay.
I always used to sit in front.
I see.
So, like today's class, me, I did not really understand. So this, I was trying to do it using my phone, using WPS, since it's just stable. So I don't know. The thing is somehow confusing, most especially this particular one. I didn't really.
This one now, this things you have here.
Yes, sir.
Student name, date, this. That's just what you're writing.
Okay.
And this one, here you have what's the name of this story? Attendance.
And
What
this
is
is the
right here
attendance.
is attendance. What is right here is students. You now write these columns, like these things.
Okay, this particular column is all I'll write it here.
Write it here.
Then this one, I will
One
write.
for student, one for attendance. You write them.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
For this course, I will upload it in the. Yes, I've not uploaded it. I also upload it. I'll upload 2 of them. Yes. You've done it. Okay, give me.
Okay, sir, we are typing it.
No, you're not supposed to type it.
Okay.
But these people just
Just
write out
send.
of their way.
Because
Yes.
I wrote my own, I did my own handwriting. The third one you said is okay.
Okay.
So you don't stop the class.
Uh,
It's still recording you.
All the things we are saying.
I know. I hope you not collect this number.
No.